In the last 60 seconds, Eric, here's what's happened. 168 million emails were sent, 700,000 Google searches were launched, and 60 hours of YouTube videos were uploaded. And that's not to mention all of the emails that we've received, all the texts that we've received, all the phone calls that we received. We are all in crazy information overload. The way to break through the clutter is by telling powerful stories. So today, Eric, my partner in crime, and I are going to talk about the power of storytelling to impact people and to get people to take action, and the program we're launching in November called Share Your Story, Change the World. Hey, everybody. Hey, Eric. My name is Alan Samuel Cohen, for those who don't know me, and I'm here with my friend Eric. Eric, introduce yourself.
Eric LaCour, filmmaker, storyteller.
I am in Florida. Eric is down south.
Yeah, I'm in Louisiana. I'm in Baton Rouge, actually.
He's in Louisiana.
I left New York to have a yard.
Very nice. Space is a good thing. So Eric and I are here together. We both decided we would wear the same eyeglasses. That actually was just one other example of serendipity. We were introduced by a good friend of ours, many of whom know Shannon Hernandez, great friend, marketer. And she said to me, she said, Alan, you got to meet this guy, Eric. The two of you have so many similar interests. I don't know what is going to happen from that meeting, but I know something cool is going to happen. And so when Shannon says there's someone that you need to meet, I don't even ask questions. I'm just on Facebook messaging that person and setting up a discussion. So what Eric and I have in common, and what we're going to talk about today, is a passion for storytelling. And we come at it from similar and also slightly different lenses. I'll let you, Eric, tell the folks what you do for a living. I'm a speaking coach, among other things, business coach, executive coach, and public speaking coach. But my primary focus these days is helping people tell really powerful stories that are part of the speeches that they tell to inspire others to take action. And that's whether it's in the boardroom or the TEDx stage or just over the dining room table, but how to tell stories that really command people's attention and break through the clutter of all the information overload. So today I thought Eric and I would basically just introduce each other and talk about what we're doing together. We're going to do this the View style, I guess, starting with a question for Eric, which is, Eric, how did you come to the work, being a documentarian around story, your passion for story? Why don't we just start there? And you can start with a story or start with whatever you want to start with.
Yeah, I mean, well, the story is that when I was a kid, I was always a visual artist, and as things have gone on, I went from photography, and then eventually got into video work, and then it took me 20, 30 years to realize how the most important part was the story. I was kind of embarrassed to say that, actually. So, but since I found that out, I've been obsessed and reading everything about it and learning all the different structures. I'm really interested in the hero's journey, but not just for story. I like the hero's journey for the lessons that come from it, the deeper meanings behind it. From there, I have just been diving deep, and I took some of the same study courses on writing. And my passion really is to very, very much like Alan, is to inspire action. I want to take powerful stories and put them into a video format, help people express themselves, their ideas, and develop a deeper emotional feeling, something that expresses someone's deeper why. And I do that mainly for coaches to help find their audience and find their clients and give them a little more authority in their field, but also so that more people are more likely to follow through with the course that they take with a coach. Because I've found out that from speaking to a lot of different coaches, one of their deeper problems, believe it or not, is that people don't always finish the course that they're doing with them or the following through. And I feel like that can help with that, really, when people understand your deeper why.
And Eric, we're going to talk in a bit with the folks about the program that we've put together and how we take insight into action and provide support and story structure and a lot of hand holding and feedback throughout the course of the program. So I'll answer the same question that I posed to Eric. So I come from a family of storytellers. I have the privilege to have my 94-year-old father still in my life. And my father is one of the best storytellers that I know. We have to excuse him sometimes for telling the same story about 20 times over, but any of you who have older relatives know what that's about. But he remembers stories, he tells them beautifully and with great detail. And so recently, because life is so precious, I've been spending more time talking to my dad about stories, about family stories, about our histories and certainly my roots as a Jew and the all of the things that have come with that over our lifetimes and lifetimes before me. As a kid, I think I often got the message that my stories were too much. Maybe some of you can relate. I would get the report card comments, highly imaginative, but must learn self-control, or inclined to be chatty. That was one of my favorites, inclined, which could probably be the name of either a really good book or a movie. So we should talk about that. So I got the message very early on that a little of me was too much, and so that I needed to really hide my stories or hold back from sharing so much of myself. And what that contributed to was a lifetime of a lot of secret keeping and a lot of pain. It has been said that the truth will set you free. And so when I started actually sharing more of my stories from the stage, with my clients, wherever I was speaking, I noticed a shift, both in me and feeling more freedom and more self-expression, but also that people would come to me and share their stories, some of their most intimate stories. So I was creating a safe space for people to be vulnerable. And I think as a coach, that's always been a superpower of mine, because I don't know, maybe being raised in New York City for many decades, very little shocks me. So people feel comfortable telling me everything and anything. I am like you, Eric. I am a student as well as a teacher of story. It was funny the first time we spoke how we both had like the same stack of books, and so we are total geeks in terms of story structure, and we probably all each have our own preferred structures, but what we want to do is be able to share a few different structures with our students and let them find the one that works best for them. And the last thing I will say is, at this point in my life, I seek inspiration. That's what keeps me going. And so I'm grateful because I get to work with people, helping them share their stories, helping them put their stories into a structure to inspire people, including myself. So I like to be an inspiration, but I also derive inspiration from all the people who I coach, and that keeps me young and it keeps me open-minded and curious. So I'm rambling, but that's why I'm here, and grateful to be with Eric and partnering with him on this collaboration, because there are a lot of people, Eric, I think, who I know need our support and services. And it's more fun to do it with someone else, especially when they wear the same glasses. But there are a lot of people that we can get to. And so I'm excited that I've met you and that we're building this plane together. And so it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, today I'll just share right away why I'm even more inspired now than ever about story. It's because I think we all know, I think, what is it? Attention is the new oil, right? And it kind of turns us off when people are trying for attention, right? And the thing about story is people come willingly, freely, and they're usually like, and they don't even realize that they're being coerced when you're just telling a story, right? And that's the most powerful way to share information. People will remember it more. And it's just one of the most powerful ways to sell a product, but also to just transfer ideas and information. And that to me is just gold. Like,
100%.
and then combined with the ability to speak, I mean, it's unbelievably powerful.
Work a lot with business owners and corporate leaders and entrepreneurs, and sometimes when they talk about what they do, it doesn't sound so sexy. They can get real caught up in technical jargon and just I find I glaze over, and I think a lot of the people that they speak with also glaze over. So even the most technical but technically oriented person, the most technical business, we still can find stories, whether they're client success stories or metaphor or anything that will help connect people at that emotional level, so that they like you, know you, trust you, feel your heart, feel your purpose, feel your why, and then they're more receptive to listening to the facts and figures. But truthfully, what we know is that people don't really care that much about the facts and figures as much as they want you to be able to paint the picture of what the future state's going to be when they work with you. They want to know that you can relate to them where they are in terms of whatever their struggles are. And they want to know that you have a process, but they don't really want to get into the weeds with you, especially if you're doing, whether you're doing a 10-minute BNI presentation or whether you're doing a 45-minute keynote. People just don't want PowerPoint and highly technical jargon. They want to feel you. They want to know you. They want to see how you align with them in terms of values, in terms of their integrity, all of those great things. So here's a challenge. So bring me the most boring job that a person has, and I can guarantee that I will help them turn that speech into something maybe not as monumental as Jurassic Park, but something pretty awesome, I'm sure.
Wow, that sounds pretty. Can you give us an example, like in?
Absolutely. So I was talking the other day to someone who does home inspection. And we were talking about whether we could work together, and he was just talking to me about all of the measurements and all the specifics and all the detail of a highly technical job. When somebody's buying a home, you want your inspector to be specific and know what they're doing. But there are a lot of home inspectors out there. And there are a lot of people doing what he did. And so I said, so what's your diversifier? And he looked at me kind of puzzled, and I was like, I don't know. And I said, well, I'll tell you what it is. It's you. There's only one you. There's only one you doing the job that you do. And so I need to know what brought you here, and what some of your lived experience that maybe will leave some cues to why you do what you do. And what we found in the discussion, he had been a minister before he got into this work. And I asked him, I said, so what's the similarity between being a minister and being a home inspector? And he paused, and he thought about it, and he said, well, I guess it's always about community, and it's always about making sure that people feel safe, whether it's in my ministry or whether it's in their home. And it's always about taking care of community and making sure that people get a good get the best deal that they can in terms of being an inspector, but maybe it's just getting a good deal in life in his clergy. And then I asked him, I said, well, so the group that you're speaking to, I said, how do you think they would feel if you kind of started out like preaching, not like preaching like, the gospel, but like preaching about home inspection. Just like, see if you could just wake people up. And he said, sure, I'm going to try that. I'll talk about home inspection, see if I can get people to wake up, and I'll do it minister style.
Yeah.
And he did. And he said it was amazing. He said it just was an entire shift. So we try to get people a little out of their comfort zone, but not into their panic zone. And we all have stories, man. We all have, we've all lived. We don't necessarily all dealt with catastrophic car crashes or near-death experiences or financial ruin, but our shared humanity connects us. We all have things that we've struggled through, stories of resilience, stories of triumph or joy. Sometimes it's just stories that just bring joy and gratitude. So what
Great.
about you? What about you, Eric? What are some of the stories you've heard working with your clients, making documentaries that just kind of surprised you or amazed you, or thinking that you were just going to be shooting a kind of a same old documentary? Not that you do
Yeah.
that.
The one sticking in my head, I mean, is just about a coach, and it came from his experiences from other coaches, but also a meditation experience, which is interesting. And he got a message from meditation. So it was kind of, that's the moment that kind of gave him his change and let him know that he didn't need to fit into the mold that the world wants to fit you in, right? So he got the message that he could actually change things in his life without worrying too much about hurting other people's feelings or whatever, right? So making the best choice for himself.
So was that, Eric, was that like his 5 seconds? Like, was that
Yeah,
that 5 second
that's kind
moment
of
where,
what, yeah, that's what I was implying. Yeah. So, yeah,
talk about that, Eric? Share that 5 second, the 5 second epiphany that we talk to our students about.
yeah, I mean, well, so one of the things that I learned recently was about, yes, the 5 second, like somebody's event in their life that really kind of helps change their life, right? And one of the ways in storytelling that we're gonna make that moment more powerful is showing the opposite of that thing, right? So that's how we set it up in the story. So you want to create the opposite of whatever the event might be. So, for instance, like when he made that choice, his life got better afterwards. But you show kind of the pain and struggle before that. That kind of makes that moment, and it was like very closed off, and then all of a sudden things kind of open up for him. So you see this dramatic change.
So we think that often stories are about all the excitement and the adventure that happens in between these important moments. And while those events and adventures are important because they build suspense or they keep people's attention, it really is about that 5 seconds where something shifts, where someone has the moment of truth, or that shift in consciousness, or that change within their soul, from innocence to experience, from victim to hero, whatever it is. There's that moment, and many moments. It's not just one moment. We have these 5 second epiphanies all of the time. So one of the things that we also do in our course is to make sure that people are beginning to develop a storytelling brain, which means beginning to mine for the stories that happen throughout the days in our life. So writing those down, even if it's in shorthand, thinking every day, what was that anecdote? What was that story that could make a good anecdote or story in a speech? Because otherwise it happens and it's gone. We just lose it. So we want our students to start thinking, seeing the world through that lens of what would make a good story. Once you start thinking that way, then
Yeah.
the stories are they're limitless.
Yeah. The funny thing is that what all I can think about is how when we do that, it actually requires less thinking to absorb those moments, right? Because we're so in our head, we're like missing all these moments
That's
every
right.
day. And the more we're thinking, the more we're not there. So
Right.
it requires more presence to like actually
Exactly.
catch these things that are happening, and then remembering to write it down somewhere at some
Exactly.
point.
Right. Because if you're too focused on like, oh, what was the story that just happened, and that, like, you've taken yourself out of the present.
Yeah.
But just knowing even that you've got this practice at night, that you're gonna, either put it in an Excel spreadsheet or you're gonna just take some notes, means you can just you have confidence that you'll capture it, you'll remember it. But you need to have that practice of doing it every day.
Mhm. When's
Yeah.
everything get kicked off?
So we're pretty excited. This course, the 16-week program filled really fast. So we actually have 7 people registered and we have 1 slot open, just 1 slot. And we kick off on November 8th. In the afternoons. We meet every other week for 16 weeks. We provide loads of feedback and community, and 1 lucky person needs to reach out to me or to Eric and say yes and apply. There's a simple application. We want to make sure everybody in the group shares our values of creativity, curiosity, collaboration, and courage, among other C's. And then we'll soon have the cart open for the next group, which will launch in January. So we'll begin filling that, but we'll have a waiting list, or we can take people's names right now to make sure they're the first people to get the information. We are just so stoked this thing is happening, and both Eric and I have been doing this work in our own work for a long time, but putting it into this container is just going to be fantastic. And we hope if you're interested, you'll reach out to us and be on the plane with us when we launch on November 8th.
Yes, we'll have a link in the description. We'll also put a link of Alan's TED Talk, which is really great. Which is funny because I was very inspired by that. I had seen it before, and which blew my mind. And I just remember watching it and kind of hanging on, like I couldn't click away. I wanted to like know what the next part was, and it's just like it's just powerful.
And I think it was 4 years from today, because it just popped up on my Facebook feed. So
no way. Wow.
Whatever day this is that we post it, it won't be 4 years from the day, most likely, but it was about 4 years. It was about 4 years, give or take.
Cool.
All right. Well, with that, we look forward to chatting with any or all of you who are interested in learning more. And with that, we will say, have a great day and happy storytelling.
Yeah. Have a great one, guys. Thanks.